Hello everyone! Today I'm going to talk about recreations project number 2, which is exciting because it's been going for a little while now and I get to talk to you about it, which is good. Thank you so much for all of your lovely suggestions for what I should make next. I've got now a lovely long list of things that I can get to over the next foreseeable, like 10 years. So that's brilliant. But there was one dress that I sort of already had in mind and was waiting to see if anyone came up with something that I went, oh no, that would be better for this second one. I really wanted something that I could get excited about making. It's important that these things have a personal level of excitement because they take a long bloody time, and the roller coaster of making it definitely does this a lot. So you need to be able to come out of one of these in order to sort of go back up again. And it's important therefore that it's exciting. Now I wanted these projects to be things that would really challenge me and get me doing stuff I'd not done before. And boy has this one met that criteria. So I'm making a small drum roll. The red opera dress from Pretty Woman. I should say at this point that the nice thing about the Marilyn dress was that I fortuitously picked someone, or a dress that was worn by someone, whose figure was not a million miles away from mine. Now, I do not look like Marilyn Monroe, I don't have a 26-inch waist, like let's, you know, I'm not saying I had her figure, but she was quite short, well, shortish, and she was very curvy. So that was a good start. Yeah, less so with Julia Roberts when she was 21. She was like a stick insect. She's very tall, very willowy, very slim, not massively curvy. So I think one of the things with this dress is that it's going to be a recreation of the dress that I can fit into, which means it will not look like the dress that Julia Roberts wore, because it's going to be about 6 sizes bigger than that. But I'm just, you know, you just have to get on with these things and assume everyone kind of understands that that's the deal. If you haven't seen the film, where have you been? But I shall describe it anyway. Cinderella story. Julia Roberts is a prostitute, gets picked up by a multi-gajillionaire, and one of the things that they do is they go to the opening night of the opera. And for this, she of course gets some extraordinary ball gown bought for her by him. And it's just a lovely dress. One of the bits I really enjoy about these recreations projects is trying to work out how the crap the thing was put together in the first place and figuring out what I think I'm going to need to do to recreate something that looks like that. I'm not pretending in any of these that I'm doing what the original dressmaker did, because I wasn't there. So I'm just having to kind of make it up. And with this one, I was like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff in here that I've no idea what I'm going to do about. So the dress is a full-length ball gown. In fact, it's very long. It skims the floor and she's in quite enormous heels. The neckline is, it's strapless to sort of about here, but then it's got a very deep V in the middle. And in the original, I suspect that it might have been foam padded because it sits ever so slightly away from her body at the top and sort of supports itself. It then has off-the-shoulder sleeves, which are slightly ruched, so they create a sort of scallop effect. It's very 80s. The entire of the top part of the dress, the bodice down to about the low hip kind of area, is actually ruched. It's got a very fine sort of detailed, it's all kind of puckered and it looks almost like it's been pleated, but it's very uneven and there's sort of bobbles and things all over it. But it sits very, very close to the body. The back is a V all the way from basically the point at which the arm break happens here down to the middle. So there's almost nothing on the back from this point onwards. Just below the waist, it has a kind of wrap tie detail. So I needed to work out how the hell I was going to do that. And the sleeves. I wasn't sure how I was going to do the sleeves or the tie thing. Basically, I had no clue. But what I usually do in these situations is just start, because you can get overwhelmed by these things. I started off making the first toile, and I knew I'd need to draft a strapless bodice, which is something I've never done before. I mean, why do I? Yeah. But the point of these is that I do things I've never done before and have an excuse to try things in a relatively risk-free environment. Now, I put a lot of pressure on myself to try to create something that looks like the original, but a lot of it is actually just the experience of going through and trying to make it. The first thing I went about doing was drafting the bodice, which was based on a bodice block that I already have and you've probably seen me use a few times before. And what that creates once you've done it is 8
pieces, this is 4 because this is half of it, so the centre front is on the far left of this image. The side seam is the gap straight down the middle of these pieces, so with 2 on either side, and then the back pieces are the ones on the far right, and all of those seams get sewn together to make the sort of strapless bodice. It's a bit like a corset in that it has a lot of different seams to allow for really close fit, and once it's sewn up, this is what it looks like. So you can see just see the kind of neckline is starting to appear on this in the middle of the front, and then all of the other side, all of the other pieces out to the side. One of the reasons this is drafted like this is because getting the fit right in a strapless bodice is really important, because obviously you don't have the structure of a strap to hold up your garment, and having more seams means you can fit better. So if you imagine every single one of those seams as a point at which you can adjust the fit, it gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of being able to actually create something that's going to stay up, along with a load of other things that you need to do, like provide inner structure, etc. But this is what you can see, this is the inside, and it's filmed flat, but this is what it looked like on the dressmaker's dummy. And as you can see, on my dummy, actually, the fit for this first twirl was pretty good. But on the dressmaker's dummy is one thing, and on your actual body is quite another. So segueing back to me in my bedroom.
So I'm now going to go and get changed into twirl number 1, because I wanted to show it to you on me, given that the fit is so important, and then I can talk you through the various things that are wrong with it. Okay, I've moved so you can see a full length shot. Well, not full length, but a bit more like full length. This was twirl 1. I'm in a bra because otherwise you'd get more than you bargained for. And as you can see, there is a long way to go at this point. But actually, I was very pleased with the fit of the twirl, the top. This fits really, really nicely. And it's slightly too low in the middle, and it doesn't come up quite high enough here for my comfort level. I think if I was wearing something at this height, I'd probably freak out that I was going to flash everyone in the room. So the bodice I really like, and it finishes obviously at the waist. This is the waistline. I then thought, right, I'll sort out the skirt next, and I drafted basically a full length skirt and added in some flare to the bottom because it's not completely straight up and down. And then I cut it out and I sewed it on, and as you can see, it just looks a bit like a sack. So I'm wearing tights, so it's a bit sticking to me because it's polyester. And I was like, oh, what the heck, what have I done there? I obviously then realised that what I should have done is cut it on the bias. This is on the straight grain, and it means that it just has no movement really side to side. It's very straight up and down, which is a good learning lesson. And I knew that already, like I was very aware of this principle. I just had a momentary lapse of reason at the time. The things that I knew I wanted to change for twirl 2. So one of the things about the original dress is that it's very tight fitting all the way down to about here. And this, it's very hard to get the skirt to do that and give the structure that is needed. So I was like, right, I'm going to extend the bodice part down to the low hip, and I will then attach the skirt in some way. I don't know how yet, I'll figure that out. And I needed to work out how I was going to put the understructure into this section. And I knew I was going to want to add boning channels to the bodice to keep this all upright, because otherwise this is going to fall out and that would not be good. I also needed to work out how to attach the sleeves. Now, the sleeves are, as I mentioned, off the shoulder, but because this comes down quite low here, it's difficult to know where you could attach them that would give them enough security and be high enough up that they're going to give the right look. So what I first started out doing was trying to actually sew them in, one end of them into the princess seam. So the princess seam that runs down here, I sewed the front end of the strap into, and then put it all the way around and actually had it attaching into the side seam, so it sort of comes around the back of the arm and then down there, because that gives you enough security that you can kind of attach it and it's not attached on top, and you know, it's sort of integral to the dress. And then I needed to figure out how to do this ruching effect detail. So I'm going to get changed because I'm conscious that you can't really see me anymore, and I'm still wearing basically underwear. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and I'm dressed. That was as far as I'd got with sort of twirl number 1. So I knew that I had lots of issues and I needed to fix them all, but you can hopefully see where it's starting to get to, but there is still a very long way to go. And what I wanted to do is show you the process I go through and the honest, like the mistakes that I make and the things that I can see very early that I'm just like, well, that's not going to work. And you have to go back to the drawing board and start again. But such is life. This is what we do. It's good. It's a learning experience. Anyway, I will I will see you next week and show you the process of kind of starting to get to the final version. Enjoy your weeks, and I will see you next week.